friends. My name is Robert Bajor, and I'm the founder and CEO of Micro-credential Multiverse. We've had a few requests for video walkthroughs of our new tool, Skill Nexus AI, and I wanted to just take a little bit of time to walk you through the process of visiting our website, finding the Skill Nexus AI tab, learning more about it, logging in, browsing the application, and what to do next. So first, we're going to start with the website. So you can access Skill Nexus AI through our website, microcredentialmultiverse.com. You can also visit microcredential.info if you want more info about microcredentials. I'm really proud of that domain. So once you're at the Micro-credential Multiverse website, at the very top, there's a Skill Nexus AI button in our top navigational bar. And on this page, you can learn more about the Skill Nexus AI tool. So Skill Nexus AI synthesizes labor market data from 1,016 occupations and 55,000 US jobs to deliver precise occupation level intelligence that helps job seekers plan their next step, hiring managers make smarter decisions, and education providers design programs aligned to real world skills. So on this page, you can browse some screenshots of the application. You can also learn more about the kinds of folks that benefit from the application, including some features and functions that are specific to each of the three views provided for each one of the occupations. So once you'd like to access the application, all you have to do is choose your plan. So we have actually three plans. So there's two represented here. There's a monthly pass if you want to use the application for a few months at a time. We also offer an annual pass, which actually comes with 2 free months. And we also have some nonprofit pricing available if you scroll to the bottom of the page. As a former educator, I'm passionate about making this tool as accessible as possible for some of the nonprofits, and schools that I had the pleasure of working with. So we wanted to make that easy. All right, so once you've decided what plan you'd like, all you have to do is choose your monthly or annually. And then creating an account is very easy. And then you're in. You can explore occupational data whenever you'd like. So let's go ahead and log in. So I already have an account. So all you have to hit is account if you're already logged in. If you're not logged in, it'll just ask you for a password. It's a password protected login process. And once you're in, you'll have two sort of pages you can look at that are hidden without the subscription. So the first is a getting started page. So there's more information on there, including FAQs, things like that. We're going to start doing monthly webinars, so stay tuned. Folks who are subscribed will have first come, first serve for those, but we'll welcome folks who don't have a subscription as well who would like to learn more. So once you're ready to use the application, all you have to do is click this app button here, and it'll take you directly to the Skills Nexus AI app. So we did a lot of research into user interface while we were developing this application. And we learned that a lot of folks don't like, filters and drop downs. And imagine if it was a drop down with 1,000 occupations or something like that. So what we did was we actually enabled natural language processing in the search bar here. So all you have to do is describe your job. So, for example, I'm here in beautiful Maine. We are right here on a national wildlife refuge, and I love looking at birds. So let's go ahead and write birds in and say, I wish I could get paid to look at birds instead of just looking at them out my window. So what this is doing is it's processing 440,000 rows of Bureau of Labor Statistics data, and it's going to provide the user with 6, guesses for what it thinks, a good occupational fit would be based on your search. So right here at the top, we have zoologists and wildlife biologists, animal scientists, animal breeders, farm workers, animal trainers. I always wanted to be an animal trainer, but I ended up actually in my first act of my professional career as a biologist. So I'm going to go ahead and click biologist. And like I said, we're processing a lot of data here. So there's Bureau of Labor Statistics data and there's ONET data, but there's also proprietary data that we've collected over the 5 years or so that we've been in business. There's also state level data that's being processed here for some of those state specific, what is the labor size, the workforce size, Is it a growth industry? Obviously, wildlife biologist might be a growth industry in one state, and it might not be a growth industry in another state. So we consider that state level data as well. It's broken down into 3 views, and each view has a series of tiles. Each of those tiles also has an AI layer baked in, and we do use the Google Gemini system for that. So once it's processed all that information, essentially what you have here is an excellent way for a job seeker to understand more about the role in question. So it looks like this is a growth industry. It looks like there are approximately 1,400 or so openings each year. And it looks like there's a pretty good workforce size for this particular career. Now, keep in mind that this is an occupation. So when you're creating a job description, you're likely creating something a little more precise, like a role. So like I said, the ONET and BLS, according to them, there's about 1,000 jobs. Obviously, there's a lot more than that. So this is an accuracy to precision tool. But to get a really precise view of the labor market, you're going to have to actually start looking at jobs. So before we get there, let's say I'm a job seeker, and the first thing I'm going to want to see is a day in the life. Stats are nice, but understanding what it's like to actually be a wildlife biologist is better. So this will give the job seeker an idea of what it might be like to be a wildlife biologist. And if I was applying for a wildlife biologist job, it's going to dynamically populate with a portfolio that would be appropriate for a job interview. So it says here that I can design a comprehensive plan to assess and propose conservation strategies for a declining bird species. So it considered the initial search inquiry in a specific habitat. So for me, it would be southern Maine. And some of the key deliverables that I could create and bring with me to that interview include a detailed research proposal, mock data analysis, and possibly a concise 3 to 5 year conservation strategy, which includes some proposed interventions. Not only that, the application gives me a good idea of my journey. So after a few years of post-secondary education, I will likely need some experience and maybe a little bit of on-the-job training. So it explains a little bit more there. And like I said, we've also considered the 800-pound gorilla in the room, pun intended, and we have the AI and automation frontier tile here. Now, what this does is it gives job seekers an idea of what their exposure is to AI disruption. And it gives a description, not a generic description, a specific description for this particular occupation. Not only that, here are some skills that I can learn to make me a more competitive and resilient candidate in an evolving job market. Okay, so that's all great, but let's say that I want to really hear it from the source. I want to talk to some wildlife biologists. What better place than LinkedIn? LinkedIn is where professionals go to communicate with one another. So with one click, I can get an idea of wildlife biologists nationally that I could potentially connect with, or in my state. So I didn't put a particular state in for this search, but that is also an option. Further, in addition to people, I can think about jobs. What are the actual jobs that align with this particular occupation? Notice that it isn't the exact name of the occupation. These are roles. These are real jobs. So here's a microbiologist job, and it looks like 9 alumni from my alma mater, Rutgers, work here. So maybe I would want to apply, and I can get all that information with one click. Okay, so that's our job seeker view. The second view is the hiring manager. So now the tables have literally turned. Instead of looking for a job, I'm looking for someone looking for a job. So, and on top of the labor market data that they also have access to, you'll notice that Skill Nexus AI has translated the project idea into an assessment. So if I wanted to assess a candidate based on their skills and competencies, I might ask them to bring something like this along with them to the interview. Or it might be something I'm looking for based on the job description and the scope of the responsibilities. So we interviewed a lot of recruiting managers, hiring managers, and employers, and we asked them, what are some other things that you would want to see at the occupation level? One of those things was an onboarding plan. So sometimes the recruiting manager isn't a subject matter expert. So it's a very helpful thing for the manager to have an idea of what the 30, 60, 90 plan would be, in addition to the KPIs for those particular activities. So we have the onboarding plan here. We have some of the KPIs nested, but for every single view, there's also a downloadable guide, which sometimes has more information than what you'll see on the actual dashboard view. So for the job seeker, it's a career kit. For the hiring manager, it's a hiring guide. And for the education provider, it's a curriculum blueprint. So let's go back to that hiring manager view. So in this view, let's say I'm trying to write a job description, which is a very popular task that we wanted to support. You can actually go to LinkedIn, but instead of connecting with individuals, it might be worthwhile to actually find someone looking for an opportunity in my state for this occupation. So I could do that by simply clicking on people here. And thanks to LinkedIn, they actually have filters that include, folks who are looking for an opportunity. So instead of reinventing the wheel, we just kind of leveraged a system that works really well already. Another thing that I might want to do as a hiring manager is look at jobs as biologists or wildlife biologists so I could better refine the job description that I'm writing. So this is a very valuable tool for hiring managers as well. The third view here is the education provider view. So education providers are really trying to connect those job seekers with those career opportunities. And the best way to do that is through skill and competency-based capstone projects. So these can be inserted as micro-credentials into existing programs. If they already exist in current programs, this is fertile ground for creating your own micro-credentials or skills-based credentials of various kinds. Further, ONET actually aligns work activities with what they'd like to see in curricula. So we have a curriculum alignment there. And you'll also notice that skills to hire is now here instead of skills to learn. So if we wanted to embed those AI-enabled skills to make our candidates more competitive, then we could include those AI-enabled skills into our programs. Okay, so I'm going to pause. That's a lot of information. I am available for questions. You can reach out through the contact page on micro-credentialmultiverse.com, and we can go back to our website. And you can reach that by simply contacting us. So on the bottom here, if you go to book a strategy call, we have a contact form here. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out. You can find me on LinkedIn. Again, I'm Robert Bajor, the founder and CEO of Micro-credential Multiverse, and I'd be delighted to hear from you. So feel free to connect and have fun exploring occupations with Skill Nexus AI.